daily fantasy. His number too high, then I'm probably fading him. He been on the road, he gon' eat up my salary. I hit up by, he gon' lie before lock. Play back to back, then I probably won't pick on the DFS bachelor. Good as it gets. Build a few liners and hit me a leg. He had a good game, but it might be a trick. Log in the Slack so I know who to pick. Sharing our liners, we all gon' get rich. New to this game, you should come to the pad. You might want some cash and get a good laugh. DFS Sports, we gon' run up a bag. He heard every game and it's making me mad. You buying your lineups, I think you a cheater. DFS bachelor, he the new leader. Yeah.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bachelor Pad. I, of course, am your host, the DFS Bachelor, and I'm joined by our League of Legends Supermind at League of Items, Mr. Mike. How you doing today, man?
Doing well.
Good. So, for this video, right now, initially anyways, we are going to cover the LPL LCK promo slate. So, it's a 2-game slate that stretches from Thursday morning or late night, however, depending on what side of the country you're on, to Saturday. We may combine the EU Masters in this video, or we may just do a separate one. Not 100% sure yet. We're just going to feel that out during this video. Even though this is not live, it's pretty live. Like, by the time we finish recording, I have it uploaded within like 20 minutes. So there's no editing and all that. So we're going to start with LCK, LPL, may transition to EU Masters, may make that a separate video, just depending how the video goes. First things first, thank you for all your support, your kind words, making this one of the most watched esports videos for DFS on the market. I do have a feeling some trolls from another channel were creeping over here, but I'm not going to get too much into that. Just for the one guy that talks shit about my son, just know I have a fantastic internet forensic guy on my list, and I know where you are. If you talk shit about my son again, you're going to find yourself on the bad end of a good old-fashioned, passionate ass whooping. I'm a 40-year-old contractor that will beat your ass, so don't talk shit about my son again. Let me just put that out there.
Passionate is an understatement.
It's going to be passionate. Like,
just for shits and giggles, you should give him the first letter of his state that he lives in.
Yeah, well, it's the letter I, and don't do it again.
It's the letter I, and I will beat your ass.
I don't play that game. I forgot about. I have forgotten this morning more about real, like the conventional real sports, than these window lickers will ever know, and all of them are like WWE, like hardcore fans. Now listen, I like the WWE, but these are the guys that think that Undertaker lives in a casket. Like, these are the guys so goddamn stupid that, this is where they're at. Like booger eaters, they're just in their mom's basement, picking their nose and eating it all day long. Say something about my son again, find out what happens. It's not a good idea. I do not play that game. I wasn't going to do this in the video, but it just came out. So my apologies. But really, like, I do love you all. I really appreciate all the support, the kind words. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Content through the roof. Again, we're going to either cover 1 or 2 slates in this video. If we don't cover the other slate for EU Masters, we'll do it in another video. Yeah. Cheers to you all. We're very grateful. Also, I'm getting a little bit tired of the people like giving Mike shit for getting like 1 pick wrong. Like, I've never met anyone who knows. Like, Mike knows so much about League of Legends and breaks it down so well. Not every favorite is going to win. So I'm sorry that,
Well, so I have a few things to say. So first of all, the guy that's talking shit about your son, wild move. I don't know what's wrong with you, but that's just wild.
Bad idea.
In terms of you talking about real sports, first of all, please clarify what you mean, because if you're sliding League of Legends, then we're going to have a problem. I'm going to have to drive across the country. So if you drive to the place where we know that he is, then I can meet you there, and then you could fight him. And then when that's done, I'll fight you if you besmirch League of Legends again.
That's not what I'm not besmirching it. What I'm saying is the quote unquote,
traditional
sports, because that's their go-to, is like, oh, a couple of nerds talking about esports. Yeah. I'm just doing this to provide content for my viewers because we can't have,
of course,
Major League Baseball, and it's turned into something that we enjoy. But I'm not going to put up with someone talking shit about my son. I will bury you in a concrete slab. Like, they'll never find you, like Jimmy Hoffa. Straight up.
The last thing I was confused about was the Undertaker not living in a casket. I'm pretty sure he does live in a casket.
No, he's from Texas. Michelle McCool's his wife. He lives in Texas. His old wife, Sarah, pretty hot as well.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, his name's Mark. Pretty cool guy. I actually met him once. So
definitely lives in a casket. That's fine. We can move on.
So does Kane. But okay, that's fine. his brother Kane. But again, these people actually think that Kane's his brother. That's the kind of genius we're dealing with there, but it really pissed me off. I don't even know why we made it part of the video, but
why not?
I feel like it adds to the character of it. Yeah, it adds to the flavor.
And then the last thing I guess would be to the people who sometimes get upset about like the picks that we're making. So what I would say, which I tell everyone, like the people who have joined my live streams and who watch the other content on my channel, is I'm not trying to give you a prediction about what's going to happen for the most part. There are times where I will say like I would bet on this, but I'm just trying to give you a probabilistic understanding of what's going to happen. So right. The way that we do that is we look at the money line. The money line gives you an implied win percentage that you need to be able to beat in order to make money long term on like that kind of bet. So if I think that there's a huge edge on one side or the other, then I'll tell that to you. If I think that there's an edge in ownership, I'll tell you that. It doesn't mean that I'm going to play 100% of that team or that you should like mortgage your house and do something like that. Right. It's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to give you good information so you can make your own decisions. Because
and for the record, we do understand that 99% of you understand that. Like 99% of you are fantastic. So I don't mean to put so much attention on the assholes.
Yeah. It's just, but it is a good thing to remind everybody of. It's putting
my my son in there is a bad idea.
All right, let's go. Let's go. It's game time.
So hit subscribe, check out all that. We're going to be doing a bunch of other. There's lots of cool stuff on the horizon. Websites being built. We're going to be doing videos on other sites. Like all sorts of cool shit is coming. So please hit subscribe. Lots of cool shit is coming. Title of your sex tape. Hit the subscribe button. Truly appreciate that. And for all the Evan and Surfshank and Keeg and just there's so many. Peter, I'm going to make it a point to mention all the cool people that get it. That's what we're going to do. But I did want to tell the one guy, be very careful, motherfucker, because I will come beat your ass. Your wife will be looking to me next time she's scared, not you. Don't piss me off.
The other thing that's going to be fun is when real sports start coming back and I start talking about those, and then people think to themselves, wow, I'm surprised he knows things about real sports too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that'll be. That's how this channel was created. Channel was not created on esports. It was created on NFL, NBA. That's how I've made a living for.
No, I'm saying me. Like people are gonna
for years. And you're gonna be there because
people. Oh wow, he actually watches other stuff too, not just League of Legends. It's like it's not that hard, guys.
Yeah, the beautiful part for me was the guy whose YouTube name was like WWE fan was calling us virgins. It's like, dude, you're in your mom's basement eating your boogers. Like jerking off to like Hulk Hogan WrestleMania 3 videos. Like relax. And I love Hulk Hogan. I hear there's a movie coming out and it's going to be the dude who was Thor is going to be Hulk Hogan. I can't wait for that.
That's interesting.
The intro song for this video, for this channel when it first started was the Hulk Hogan entrance song until I realized I would get in big trouble for that.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's that. So the 2-game LPL LCK promo. So luckily for us, the LCK game is tonight. It's the first game on the slate. So, for the finals of the LPL, we know who's going to start. We know who's going to play. For this game tonight, we know who's going to play for Soria Ball Gaming, SRB. You never know with Sandbox. It's really annoying that they won the other night. It's my least favorite League of Legends team ever. I fucking hate Sandbox so much in terms of fantasy sports, of course. Mm-hmm. So the lineups will be on our Twitter page. Those Twitter links will be in the video description below, at DFS Bachelor, at League of Items. You're going to have to wake up. It's 1 a.m. Pacific, 4 a.m. Eastern. So if you really want to know, which there is an edge to knowing, especially if you're picking Sandbox to win, because you just don't know, are they going to go Root Dove? Are they going to go Leo? Whatever. They do a bunch of dumb shit. It's a terrible team. I just hate them.
Coming off the win, I think they'll probably just stick with the same lineup.
Yeah, you would think.
But you always have to check. Yeah.
Yeah, you always have to check. So we'll have that out there. Luckily, it's the first game, so we will know. So just going into this, for me, SRB is, in terms of, they're 100% a live dog. I think they're probably a better team. So what you have here is you have a Sandbox team that just barely was able to beat a garbage Griffin team to get to this point. They do not want to be relegated. But SRB also wants to be promoted and has just been doing nothing but winning until that last disaster against Dynamics, which I honestly didn't see coming. I thought it'd at least be a 2-1. I like SRB a lot in this game, for me. What are your thoughts?
I think that both teams are pretty similar.
SRB plays through their bot lane. So if you're going to take the SRB side, and you can justify taking either side of this contest, and I think it behooves you to have exposure to both sides, just in case. You just don't know. But if you're going to play SRB, Sang Yoon, 10-5 in the captain spot, that's where SRB plays through. They play through the bot lane. They're an aggressive team in the bot lane. They want to take the fight to the other team. I've been watching actually a lot of games, more games than even when we started these videos. I watched all day today. I know way more about EU Masters than I ever should know.
Yeah.
But they're going to play through Sang Yoon. So if you're going to make an SRB stack, the salary is right. Don't fuck around. Just get Sang Yoon in your captain spot if SRB is a team that you're stacking.
Yeah. So I'm concerned with Sandbox because what I just looked up is how they're doing in pick ban, because there are a lot of huge mistakes that you can make in the pick ban phase that are going to make it tough for you to like actually win. So first of all, Sandbox Gaming, in their loss against Team Dynamics, they gave up Aphelios 2 games in a row. And I think I've been pretty clear that in this meta, giving up Aphelios is pretty horrible, because it's like they're just outthinking themselves. They're basically saying to themselves, okay, if we leave up Aphelios, then the other team is going to pick Aphelios. So if we know that the enemy team has Aphelios, we can try to pick against it and just beat it. But if you're forcing yourself into playing against a champion with like a 55 or 60% win rate, like across the world, I think that's what the number still is. You're basically like you're making it just a lot tougher for you to play the game. And I don't understand why teams think that this is a viable option, because the thought is like, okay, they have Aphelios. It's basically like having a pocket passer. In order to punish that, we need to be very aggressive and like dive that champion a lot so that so like he can't get damage off, or like we can kill him early in the beginning of a fight. But the problem is, and this is very, very similar to football, if you send 6 people at the quarterback to try to get a numbers advantage, you're going to have one-on-one everywhere else. So that's the first problem. First problem is you have one-on-one everywhere else. Second is if you miss the quarterback, then he can just throw it deep, and you're going to give up huge chunk plays and like all of that. Mm-hmm. And once that happens in League of Legends, the difference between League of Legends and the NFL is you can get away doing that in the beginning of a game in the NFL and being down 7 or 14 points and eventually come back. Coming back in League of Legends is exponentially harder than coming back in the NFL.
Yes.
So
and Sandbox seems to be a team that struggles in those team fights. I don't know why, but every time I watch them play, when a team fight is happening, they seem to make mistakes while the other team capitalizes on it. And again, I don't know the details of the game like you do, but just for me, when I'm watching it, I'm like, Jesus, he missed that attack. He missed that attack. Oh, he got picked off over here. He got trapped over here.
Yeah.
They're an easily picked team, which I do think favors the mid and bot lane for SRB. Mm-hmm. A
lot of that comes down to timing. So I think you're right. Like when you're watching a game, whether it's Europe or China or Korea, a lot of it's about timing and knowing where you're supposed to be on the map. So like as a viewer, you can always see in the top left or top right hand corner the next neutral objective that's coming online. So it's like a drag or Baron or something like that. In order to fully prepare for that and be in position you want to be at that objective probably 20 to 30 seconds earlier so that you have the priority around the objective, which is going to force teams to run into you, and it's going to limit their engage options. So when you're a team like Sandbox Gaming, they're in a lot of spots where they're losing the game. So they're going to look worse because they are losing.
Sure.
So it's like they look bad at the team fights because they're playing from a losing position, which is just tougher in general.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they're not creating a losing difference at the team fights. They've already had that happen to them in the game.
Sure.
And then there are times when they're already winning that they don't look as clean as other teams because of their timing.
That's really what I'm talking about. Like, I've seen times where Sandbox, like, I was winning a ton of money. I stacked them, if you remember, like a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And I'm watching, and they're in an opportunity to win, but they make such stupid mistakes. Even in the 1v1 battles, like their top laner, what's his name? Summit, who's a good top laner. But he just does dumb shit. And I don't know if it's because he's trying to compensate for the lack of ability for the other team. One thing I will say, Sandbox has played a multitude of different lineups. I would expect tonight, Root, it would be a Root Fate night, or a Root, was it Dove who played the last game? Root and Fate. I would think it would be Root as the AD carry and Fate as the mid laner, because they won the last game convincingly against Griffin. But they've played a ton of different lineups. SRB, they've played the same lineup almost every match, and I do think there's something to be said for the continuity with what they're going to do. Sandbox is all over the map. They're constantly changing their lineups.
The problem is like in the NBA or the NHL, like you have a lot of different combinations of players going in and out of the game throughout the game, and like eventually you'll hit a rotation that's really good in a matchup, and then like you try to stick with that rotation. So with Sandbox, they're like continuously doing line changes, and that can be good once you hit a combination that works for you, but they're just like spinning their wheels. It's like they don't have some kind of specific thing that they're looking for in a roster. Like maybe part of it is just overcoaching. And maybe part of it is like in their scrims, they see different things that they think are going to be good, or different champions will be good in a specific matchup. But a lot of that, I think the results have shown that there's something flawed with how they're making their decisions. Because it's not like they're continuously losing close matches or like 50-50s.
Sure.
It looks like a lot of the time they just look lost.
Sure.
And then speaking to the whole Summit thing before we go like lane by lane, the thing with Summit is like if you've watched a bunch of the videos, you'll hear me say things like a carry top laner, and a carry top laner is a player who has the upside of completely taking over the game and winning through top, which not every top laner can do that.
Sure.
On a carry champion. Like if you pick Ornn, you can just win the game as an Ornn for your team basically, but it's not the same. Like it doesn't look the same, it doesn't feel the same as that player, and you're not doing the same amount of damage as a carry top laner.
Right.
So if you look at their matchup when they played against Team Dynamics, Summit was playing Kennen and Rich was playing Aatrox, and like they were going through this trade, and you could tell that Summit understands the fight and everything, but he kind of overstepped his boundaries and almost died, and he had to blow his flash. Right. And then once he blew his flash, the jungler immediately comes up to the top lane once everything resets and killed him. Yep. So that's just the kind of stuff that happens in League of Legends. It's like compounding problems.
Yeah.
And carry players understand how good they are. And that's part of their weakness, is that they're very, very good mechanically, and they just expect too much of themselves.
Right.
So
I'm trying to remember the top laner today in EU Masters. I believe he played for LDLC. I can't remember his name now. He's just terrible. And he kept engaging.
Bando?
Yeah, Bando. That's who it is. He kept engaging in these 1v1 fights, and he was not good. Kept getting his ass kicked, and then just kept doing it over and over and over again. And you could almost see his team like, fuck you, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, so in their first game against Giants, he was playing Gnar, and like when I did my research the other day, that was one of the first things that I noticed was like, this guy's just playing horribly. Like I don't understand the decisions that he's making, and I just don't think it really makes any sense. So if you look lane by lane, I think Summit versus Tall, they're both very good players. They're both able to play carry champions, and they're both able to play the more generic champions. So I don't think I don't think that there's a huge edge either way in terms of champion pools, but I do think that Summit is overall just a better player than Tal.
Okay.
It's just gonna. It's like players go into slumps in League of Legends
And to clarify, if the winner of this game moves on into the main league, right, and the loser is relegated, or is there more games to be played?
Losers relegated.
Losers relegated. So this is an important game.
This is a 5-game series, right?
Yeah, this is a best of 5. Both of these games are best of 5. That's why they're on the same slate in DraftKings. SRB has been, besides that dreadful performance last night against Team Dynamics, a team that they had beaten twice during the regular season, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
SRB has been playing really well. Sandbox, all over the map. A good team last year, which is weird, and they do have talented players. I don't know. I'm giving the advantage. SRB is going to start on the blue side first game. I'm going to give the slight advantage to SRB. I think it's my favorite underdog in terms of win equity.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily in terms of fantasy points, because obviously the LPL, that Top Esports JDG game could be an absolute barn burner.
Yeah.
Those are two really good teams who like to score a lot of points. They were the 2 lower seeds going into the LPL. It was Invictus Gaming and Fun Plus Phoenix.
Yep. The one thing I'd watch out for in that respect is that I don't want to give away too much for how I see that going, but I think there are ways that the jungle matchups can fundamentally throw a wrench in everybody's plans for how that series is going to go.
Kanavi versus Karsa is going to be very interesting to watch. 2 of the top junglers in the world, right?
Performance-wise, Kanavi's been really good. I don't know if he's going to be that good for a long time, but they're 2 of the best junglers in China, definitely. And they're surrounded by talented players.
Yeah, and to me, maybe I'm wrong about this, the Chinese league, for me, I think is the most talented league. When I watch it and see the clean play, I see more clean play from, like the EU Masters, these guys would barely compete with the LCK LPL teams. There's some players that would. Guy like...
well, I think that's right. But I think that in general, I still think that the LCK is probably the best. I think in terms of like as an entire league and like the macro games that they play, it's more similar to like international soccer, where you have different leagues have different styles, and then when they meet up, like one style kind of takes over. So like if you have a German team against the Spanish team, it's like, well, the German team is more calculated and the Spanish team is more like playing the beautiful game or whatever. So they're going to look better when they beat you, but they're not necessarily going to beat you more often.
Sure.
So I think that's kind of what we're seeing in this matchup, because SRB looks better, probably because they've recently been winning matches. But from a talent perspective, I don't see a huge discrepancy. So originally, when we first got into this into the LCK promotion series, everybody was just assuming that Sandbox and Griffin were the better teams because they're in the professional league, and I was instantly pushing back against that because I knew
both did, and we still got crap. We both did. I remember the last thing you said is double underdogs could be the winning lineup, and that in fact was the winning lineup.
Yeah, and then some guy asked me on my channel. He was like, "Hey man, who do you like tonight?" Like, and I said, "Well, in my video, I said both underdogs have a chance to actually win." And I was saying like I would consider betting on both underdogs because you're getting very good value. They were like plus 300. Right. And then he's like, "So who do you like?" I'm like, "I just said it like 5 times. Like I like the underdogs. Like they're a good bet. Like just because it doesn't end up working, I think that it was a good bet in terms of value."
Sure.
So
and it's a 2-game slate. Like have exposure to all the sides. Like. This is not a 6-game slate where you can really narrow down your picks. It's a 2-game slate.
Yeah, but the thing I want to be careful about in this matchup is that we came into this. Most people came into this saying the Korean teams from the professional league are so much better than SRB on Dynamics. Like they weren't saying so much better, but they were both the favorites, like in a 60-40 or 65-35 kind of way. And now I think everybody's going to overcompensate, where it's like, okay, we were wrong. It's actually SRB who is 65-35 or 60-40, which is also just wrong. Like I think talent wise, if we're just going lane by lane, I think top is pretty close, but I'd give the edge to Sandbox.
Well, let's talk about that because Sandbox is so some people, even though we say it a million times, are not going to wake up and check the starters. And Sandbox is the big wild card here because, like, SRB is going to start Tal, Lapis is not going to play, and the top. But Sandbox does change their lineup, so I think it's important. We'll talk about who we think the most likely starters are. Yeah. Again, we'll have the actual starters on our Twitter page. I will be setting an alarm as a 38-year-old man on fucking what day is today?
Who even cares?
Is it Wednesday? I will be setting an alarm for 12:30 in the morning so I can wake up and check the starters.
Yeah.
And that's the best I can tell you to do. But for most graphics, I believe Summit will be the starter tonight in the top lane. Tao will be the starter for SRB. SRB is very clear who's going to start. Sandbox, it's not.
Yeah.
So let's make sure
SRB that could potentially not play is Sangyun because he gave the finger to some guy during like the match, and like Korea freaks out about stuff like that.
Oh,
but I think he only got a written warning, so I don't think that he's going to be suspended or anything. But that's the only one I'd be afraid of for SRB. But if we're looking at talent from a talent perspective, I would say top lane Sandbox has a slight advantage. In the jungle, it's 50-50. In the mid lane, probably 50-50.
So in the jungle, is it going to be... So who played last...
On Fleek.
On Fleek played. And is that who you think it's going to be?
Yeah, definitely. Like in League of Legends, changing out a jungler is like changing out like a point guard. Like a lot of...
Well, we've seen teams do it. T1 did that a lot this year, and they ended up winning the whole thing.
Well, but they only did that a few times, and their junglers were similar. It'd be different if you had like two fundamentally different players. Like if like on Invictus Gaming, they have Leon and Ning, and they're like fundamentally different kinds of junglers.
What the fuck was that by Invictus Gaming, by the way? Ning hadn't played in 3 months. Are you kidding me? Then they change it up and get their... So Sandbox is my least favorite team. My second least favorite team is Invictus Gaming. Yeah. Even when they win shitty fantasy points, just like go fuck yourselves. Like they just win ugly every time. They're so macro, a lot like Team Geo tomorrow in the EU Masters. We're probably gonna have to make that a second video because we're already at 30 minutes and we're on the first game.
Yeah. Well, I think we haven't talked a lot about the specific players, but I think we've given a lot of good context to like the matchup itself.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like we're behind or anything like that. So
on Fleek, I agree. We'll start. Cacao is the only jungler for SRB, and he's a good player, a veteran player, longtime player.
Yeah.
Has played well. I think that was a bit of an outlier against Team Dynamics. Dynamics got on a roll. And SRB had already beaten them twice, so it was kind of just one of those things where the draft didn't work out for them. Yeah, and they just didn't. They had some bad luck in the team fights. I know when I was watching, when the guy turns all gold and shuts everything down, like whoever did that did a great job and just shut it all down.
Yeah,
they just shut it all down.
Yeah, stopwatch.
Yeah, stopwatch. Thank you. That's what it was.
Yeah. So if I'm looking at this matchup, I think that the more popular side is going to be SRB. Wait, what is the...
Well, SRB just lost 2-0. So that's what I was going to ask. Do you think that them losing 2-0 to Team Dynamics is going to curb their ownership? Because Sandbox just crushed Griffin. SRB got crushed by Team Dynamics. Recency bias, how much of an influence
players are going to want to put their Chinese team in first, and then they're going to try to figure out the other side based on who they pick.
Yes, and I think that's how it should be.
Is the more popular side.
Yeah, your primary stack should be the Chinese league. Your secondary stack should be this LCK game, no matter what, in my opinion. And I think Contrarian will be putting this, but to me, there's zero doubt that the Chinese league game, Top Esports and JDG, will be the higher scoring game in this slate.
Yeah, I mean, it should be. It should be, definitely. Mm-hmm. But I think it could get surprisingly close if a certain thing happens. But so for this, I think that SRB is going to be more popular because more people want to play JDG.
Right.
I haven't looked at how you can combine JDG with Sandbox, but I think that for your lineups to have the highest upside, you want the mid or the AD carry as your captain, and fitting them with SRB will be simpler.
Right.
So
most
yeah.
likely you're going to see a root AD carry starter for a Sandbox. Again, we will know. We'll have it on Twitter. But if you don't wake up and you're making your lineups around Sandbox, Catbox, Kitty Litter, whatever you want to call this team, I hate this team. Root, Fate, and On Fleek are going to be the jungler, mid, and AD carry. Most likely, if I had to guess right now. If you had a gun to my head, that's who I would say is going to start, because that's who started last night and they kicked Griffin's ass.
Yeah. So if I think basically I think that it's basically 50-50 from a talent perspective. I would give a slight edge to Sandbox in the top lane. And then in terms of actual team play, it's going to be whichever team drafts better and whichever team plays around the objectives better and their win conditions better, which I think most games are like that. So I don't want it to seem like it's a 60-40 matchup or a 65-35 matchup. Sure. I think it's very close. So I think that I will probably prefer Sandbox because I assume that everyone's going to go JDG with SRB, and I would rather have Top Esports and Sandbox in that scenario.
Yeah. See, for me, like when I'm building my lineups lately, it's Top Esports and SRB, baby. I like Sang Yoon. Sang Yoon, I didn't know about the flipping off of people, so I hope he fucking starts and we'll know.
Yeah.
But
actually,
they play through that bot lane. They really do focus their game. When I watched it, you could really see they were catering to that bot lane. They were relying on the bot lane. High upside, of course, a very scary floor if they lose because he's going to get his ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I look in that bot lane, like, I don't know, Root doesn't scare me all that much. I don't think he's that good, honestly.
Yeah, he's not. He had 2 Aphelios games today, and I mean, any team that understands drafting, in my opinion, shouldn't be giving away Aphelios. It's just a bad spot to put yourself in.
Yeah.
And I just tried putting together the lineups. I guess you could kind of play any combination that you want tonight. I don't think that the salaries are actually prohibitive. So if you wanted to do, let me just make sure.
That's why spreading your exposure for something like this is important. It really is. And you can give yourself an edge because you never know. What if Sandbox benches one of their guys? If you're not waking up at 1 a.m, which nobody wants to do.
Yeah, and then I guess you should also be looking at the potential for like an in-game substitution, and that's more likely to come from
whoever
Sandbox.
loses game 1. Yeah, if Sandbox loses game 1, they're going to swap out. SRB doesn't have those kind of subs. They only have a sub at one position.
So for lineups, for JDG captain lineups, if you pick Loken as your captain, then you cannot stack with Sandbox Gaming. If you pick Yagao, you can. So I think, and then there's also going to be players who run out Kanavi as the captain, but I think that's a mistake tonight.
Yeah.
Because you can get exposure to the other two. It's, if I was doing the breakdowns for like what I think your captain should be in a 5-game slate, I think it should be about 40 to 45% mid lane, 40 to 45% AD carry, and then the rest of it jungle.
Right.
Like the chances of it being a support or a top is very low, I think, in general. That they're going to be the difference maker. The only way that happens,
I think the tops, I would consider Zoom as a captain to save salary. I think Zoom does.
That's tough. It's tough because like you get those in a 5-game series. Like think about the difference between a 1-game series and a 3-game series. How like if you are a top laner who has the best performance from your team, like in the EU Masters, then like I could see, or Brazil, I could see it being 2 tops on the same team. But when you have it when you run it 3 or 5 times, the chances of the top laner being the highest scoring player multiple games is just like pretty low.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the difference in the salary difference. Like what if you put the top laner in your captain spot, who does that allow you to pay up for? And is that upside difference going to be enough to justify putting the top laner in your captain spot?
It's really not, because basically what you need is the lineup construction that you're talking about. If you take Zoom plus Summit or Zoom plus Tall, you need them to have like multiple carry performances, not
Right.
only your team winning, but like actual carry performances. And the only way I think that happens is if the top laner from the Chinese league has two winning games where they're like the most important player on their team, like on an Aatrox or something like that, and then you have a sweep in Korea. Because if you get a sweep in Korea and you get the game not played bonus, now we're looking at a lot of extra points that you wouldn't.
That's right.
Get. But I like the problem is that you don't even need that extra salary.
Right.
So that's why I don't think it's a great play for tonight.
Yeah.
But I think let's just get into Top Esports and JDG.
Yes, we spent 35 minutes on me talking about beating up some guy from a state starting with I and the relegation game. Let's get to the real heart of the matter. And this is the game. I don't give a shit which side you play. This is this game that you want your 4 players from. Now, being contrarian, but this is going to be the highest scoring game, in my opinion. I just cannot think of a scenario where it's not.
Yeah.
Top Esports, JDG. JDG beat the living shit out of Fun Plus Phoenix. It's almost almost embarrassing. I was shocked by it, to be completely honest. Top Esports has been on an absolute tear since Jackie Love came and took over for Fodic, who seems just inadequate at this point. The interesting thing is JDG is the favorite in this game.
Yeah. I think the whole Kanavi love is what's kind of fueling that. Like, everybody loves talking about junglers when they're good because they don't get a lot of time to shine in general. Sure. And I think that's going to cause people to overvalue JDG in general. So if you look at the betting line, it's minus 150 JDG. Top Esports is plus 115.
Yeah.
If you go lane by lane, I think Zoom is the more highly respected top laner. In the jungle, Kanabi's more respected than Karsa right now, but that's a lot of recency bias.
Mm-hmm. Karsa's very good, and he's been very good.
Yeah, Yagao versus Knight. Knight is definitely the better mid laner.
Yep.
And then Jackie Love against Logan. Jackie Love is definitely better than Logan.
Close.
And then support doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, I think it's pretty even. It's going to be most likely Yoon Yaya. So I know that if some of you are looking at the game logs from the previous game that they played, QQ was their support. Since they have put Yoon Jaya and Jackie Love into the lineup, they have been an absolute beast. Top Esports is going to be where I have my heavy load, title of my sex tape, of my lineups.
Jackie Love and the heavy load.
That's right. That's right. Jackie Moon, baby. I'm wrestling bears, semi-pro.
The J-Man. The J-Man himself.
Hey, you know what? He's an absolute beast, and I didn't really understand it till I started watching the games. But he's just smart with how he plays, and he doesn't miss. He doesn't make those big mistakes in the team battles. He doesn't make the big mistakes in the 1v1 battles.
Yeah.
So like Bando, like we were talking about. Bando was an embarrassment. Like I've never played that game. I promise you I could have been better than that fucking idiot today. No doubt about it. That is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
So I think that the one thing that I talked about a lot when Top Esports was bringing in Jackie Love, I kept saying that I don't think it's a huge difference because in terms of making them worse, like some people were actually saying, oh, they're subbing in their 80 carry. They have a lower % chance to win because he might not have cohesion with the team. It's like, well, that's fucking stupid. They're all playing the same game. If you go to a pickup basketball game, everyone knows what game they're playing. It's not that difficult. You just go out there and you can learn on the fly. Like, oh, this guy's the best scorer on our team. This guy's going to get all the rebounds. This guy always makes great passes. Like, I'll just play around those win conditions. It's so simple. It's a very simple game in a lot of ways. And that's why players can kind of be incorporated with other players in a fast way. And that's why with Sandbox Gaming, the whole line shifting and stuff, it just shows that they don't have the right combination of players because none of the combinations that they have been successful. And that might have something to do with the meta. Sure. But let's go into the last time that these teams played. So the last time that these teams played was on March 25th, I think we said before.
Yep, March 25th. Fodic was still the 80 carry.
Yeah, so it was 369, Karsa, Knight, Fodic, and it's actually Chow Chow, not QQ. I didn't know that. Somebody corrected me.
Oh, Chow Chow?
Yeah, so
well, you can fuck off. It's QQ. Spell it different. If you want it to be Chow Chow, spell it Chow Chow. I'm not going to sit here and fucking play their game. Okay? Spell it the way you want it pronounced.
Well, I think that's probably just Chinese, but
probably
no
whatever. Yeah, I'm not here to cater to the Chinese either. They can fuck off. Like they ruined my sports season, so they can fuck off as well.
True. Them and Rudy Gobert. Thank you.
Yeah, and
so
Rudy
then,
Gobert.
So
Exactly.
JDG
The French and the
705.
Chinese can go fucking kiss my ass. And my last name is French, but my grandfather was adopted, so I'm not French at all. So there you go.
So 705 played in the last matchup. Now it's Zoom. Zoom is better, and they've just been playing better since then. So it was 705, Kanavi, Yagao, Logan, and Lumao. So the 80 carry changed for Top Esports, and the top laner changed for JDG.
And the support is also changing for Top Esports because it's going to be you and Yaya.
Yeah. So Yuyan Jaya played off and on without Jackie Love being there, but for some reason their synergy just seems to be a lot better. The other thing to note is that in their last matchup, Top Esports won 2-0, but it was on a different patch. So there are a couple things that have caused JDG to be a lot better in the like recent history. So going back to that match, they lost 2 games in a row to Top Esports. They lost 2 games in a row to RNG, and they've won every match since then, including sweeping everyone except for their match against Sunning. So JDG right now, since it's gone to patch 10.6 and 10.7, they haven't lost a game. Wow. And that is unsustainable, in my opinion, but I understand the reasons why it happened.
Sure.
Since Zoom came back, they have not dropped a game because they're more solid in the top lane. So I talk a lot about how there's like extreme variance from top laners because in losses they look like garbage. We haven't seen Zoom in a loss, and I promise you, he's going to look bad when they lose. At least one of these games. If they lose 2 games tonight, one of those games is going to be a stinker, and you're going to be like, "Oh wow, he's playing like shit. He's not playing like himself."
Because he's cocky. I noticed that he puts himself in sketchy little situations.
Yeah,
so he gets a little cocky.
He doesn't do it as much as like the Shy, but he is kind of more of a carry style of player. So if you look at his champion pool, he played Mordekaiser, Set, Ornn, Maokai, Gangplank. Mm-hmm. So he's played 5 champions in the past like 15 games or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's much value in banning out his champions because I'm sure that he plays a lot of different champions at a very high level. Mm-hmm. So it's going to come down to more like what.
Are they going to try to ban out? Like, is there an advantage for JDG trying to ban out the champions for Jackie Love?
No, I think
he can play them all, right? This guy's amazing. He's amazing.
Well, every single player, every professional player who is even relatively good plays at least probably 10 champions at a very high level, and if there's a new champion that is becoming very popular, they can pick that champion up within a day or 2.
Sure.
It's really not tough to pick up new champions. Like, I don't play at a professional level at all, but if you give me a day or 2, I can understand the fundamentals of a champion and how to like move around the map. Mm-hmm. The other thing I would say about JDG is they've at one point they played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row against Top Wukong, and Top Wukong was like the biggest trap in the history of traps. Like, they had out of their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They've won 16 games in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 of those games were against Wukong, and Wukong is a trap. So a lot of these teams have just lost the pick ban phase against JDG. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a huge mistake in my opinion. Mm-hmm.
I don't think Top Esports makes that mistake tonight.
I don't think they're going to play Top Wukong. If they do, then I'll be very upset. I mean, that would be out of control if they actually did that.
No, Top Esports has been on point since Jackie Love took over. They went from an underachieving team to good luck.
Yeah. So then let me just check their pick bans recently. But so what I would say is, in terms of storylines, and just let me know if you agree, I think with JDG they're on a better meta for them because there's a lot of carry junglers that they can play. They have Zoom back, which has like locked down the top lane for them.
Sure.
And then they've gotten some teams just picking shitty champions against them. So I think those are 3 contributing factors to their recent success.
Right. Yeah. So, look, we're at 45 minutes. I guess we'll just probably make a second video for EU Masters. You want to just do that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already halfway to drunk, so we'll have a good time with the EU Masters video.
we'll figure that out once this one's done.
Yeah,
because we can either do, So let's just
45 minutes is enough to take in for these 2 games. Here's what I'm gonna say. I am going to have exposure to all sides. I'm going to be heavier on Top Esports than JDG. I'm still going to have exposure to JDG. I think both sides have big time upside. I prefer Top Esports. I think they're the better team. And I'm going to have more exposure to the underdog in the first game, SRB. Keep an eye out for the starters so that you know everyone who's playing, especially if you're going the Sandbox side. Sandbox gives up a ton of fantasy points. No matter how you slice it, they are when they win, they score a bunch. As example, by last night, they were in the first place lineup. When they lose, they give up a bunch.
Yeah.
Not a lot of macros in tonight's game. These are 4 aggressive teams, especially that first game they're playing. It's embarrassing to be relegated.
Yeah.
You're playing for the championship in the LPL game.
Yeah.
So I do expect a lot of kills. I don't think you're crazy to game stack the LPL game.
Yeah, it's definitely a good option.
I think that's a solid choice as well.
Yeah. So the only thing that I really want to make clear to the people that are watching is that I'm pretty sure that SRB will be more popular than Sandbox Gaming. I could be wrong about that, especially because the roster construction stuff where if you make the mid laner your captain, you can stack it with Sandbox Gaming.
Well,
but so many people are going to go to Loken.
SRB lost 2-0, Sandbox Gaming won 2-0.
I know, but
underestimate the casual fan looking at the recency bias.
I know, but that is a huge difference. When you go to the AD carry and you start making your lineup and you want to get exposure to the other game and you can't make it with Sandbox, then you're just going to instantly have more SRB than Sandbox because the amount of people who play AD carry captains to mid lane captains, it's like 3-1 most of the time.
Right.
So that's just one thing. And then the other thing is that I think JDG will be more popular than Top Esports, and I think that's a mistake. I think it should be even closer than the money line implies.
I hope that's true because I will win money. That's true.
I think Top Esports, they have the better mid laner, the better AD carry, and everyone just assumes that JDG has a better top laner in jungle. I think they could be right about top lane, but in jungle, it's very overstated. If Kanavi has huge carry performances like he did against Fun Plus Phoenix, it's not because he is some kind of transcendent player. It's because Top Esports will have made huge mistakes in the draft, and I don't expect that to happen. So I didn't expect Fun Plus Phoenix to let it happen either, because if you look at the first game, they let him play Graves. He destroyed everybody, and then they had to ban it 2 games in a row. Yeah. So I think with Karsa is a very smart player, and I think that as long as Top Esports puts some effort into shutting down Kanavi, they can shut down all of JDG. If they can control the jungle matchup, they will win this series.
I think watch for Karsa to have a lot of picks. When I watched him, he's a sneaky little motherfucker. Okay?
He really is. He plays a pretty sneaky play style.
He plays a sneaky play style. There's a lot of picks. Kanavi's an aggressive guy, very confident guy. He should be. He's an excellent player. That could be an interesting matchup. That's why I want both sides of it, because it really just depends. Is your ultimate going to land? There's a lot of factors, one guy can move half an inch to the left, miss the entire attack, come back, boom, 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 flash you, boom, it's over. So the last thing I would say is, this game, most of these games are going to be determined within the first 5 to 10 minutes, because if Kanavi is able to generate a lead in the first 5 to 10 minutes on a carry champion, then they'll be able to hold on to that lead, snowball it a little bit, and then win some of these team fights. If that happened the opposite way, where Top Esports got their lead, I feel like Top Esports gives up the lead less often than JDG would. When Karsa's looked bad, he's looked very bad. And we haven't seen bad Kanavi in a while. So people will remember bad Karsa. They won't remember bad Kanavi. And that's why I think that the leverage side is on top Esports. Yep.
And then I think in reality, I think the matchup is 50-50-ish. If anything, I'd favor Top Esports. So if I'm getting plus 115, then I really want to bet make an actual bet on Top Esports, I would pick them
Yep.
money line, and I'd pick them -1.5.
Yep.
That's basically it.
Yep. I'm going 3-1 Top Esports again. That's it for this video. We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about this after this because we spent 50 minutes. Well done. That's as thorough as it gets. Yes, they are. Listen, we're putting our money on the line. We want good information, and it's not like you can go bowling tonight, so I don't want to hear any fucking complaints. Okay, I'm just not in that mood. That guy who talked about my son pissed me off. I am fucking fired up. Do it again. I promise you. You will not like the outcome, you son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. Thank you for all your support. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Make sure you check out the video description below. There's links to Mike's YouTube channel. He does all sorts of individual breakdowns, brings in other people. He creates lineups, all of that stuff. Make sure you check that out. Check us out on Twitter. We'll be up. I know I will be at 1 a.m. Pacific, 4 a.m. Eastern to give out the starters for the LCK match. Anything else you want to say before we get the hell out of here?
Nope. That's basically
That's it. Appreciate you guys.
Or Sandbox plus Top Esports for all the money. That's who I'm playing.
I'm going to go SRB Top Esports, but I'm going to have a lineup with each combination and hope that it chops because it's going to be a chop. It's a 2-game slate, so get used to it. I don't know how else to tell you that.
Yeah.
Appreciate you all. Love ya. And we'll see you here in, I guess, a couple hours once everything uploads and we re-record the EU Masters and I make another whiskey and Coke. Cheers, y'all.
See ya.